this is James, and I'd like to welcome you to the Oracle Outlook for the week starting January the 23rd, 2017. This week, I'm going to be working with a brand new deck. This deck arrived on my doorstep on New Year's Eve of last year, so you know that's a sign that this deck wants to be used throughout 2017. So the deck is the Playing Card Oracle. It is by Robert M. Place, and it is published by Hermes Publications. And what I love about this deck, for me, it's like coming home in a way, because when I started with card reading, and I don't know if you're familiar with my backstory, but when I started with card reading, I had a dream in which I was doing a reading for myself, and I was reading with playing cards. Now, in waking life, I had never done card readings, and I never used playing cards in that manner. So I knew that the dream was significant. And I looked up playing cards in a dream dictionary that was on my bedside table at the time, and the entry for playing cards in the dictionary had said that playing cards were directly related to tarot cards. So I had never seen or heard of a tarot card, so first I had to find out what a tarot card was, and in that exploration, that led the way for me to get my first tarot deck, and as they say, the rest is history. So I'm very excited to be using this deck, and I'm also very excited to see what messages it's going to share with us for this week. So I'm taking the deck in hand, and I'm shuffling the cards, and as I do for each of my weekly readings, I'm setting the intention with the question, what do we need to know for the week ahead? That's a good sign when they act like they don't want to come back together, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the deck. I'm going to fan the cards out. And I'm going to pick 3 cards this week, and I'm looking at the line to see which cards call out to me and which cards get my attention. So now I'm looking for the 3rd card. Okay, so now I have all the cards selected, and I'm picking up the remainder of the deck, and I'm going to put it aside. And so now I'm going to read the cards from left to right. So the first card can represent something we need to know about the overall theme of the week, or something that we may have as a direct experience for the week. So looking at the card, okay, we have the 9 of Diamonds. So the 9 of Diamonds is about gain. The 9 is a number that represents attainment and wisdom gained through experience. And so this is about material gain. This is also about independence. This could be self-sufficiency, diamonds being the suit of material and physical concerns, and sometimes this is attributed to money and finances. Then this card could be about financial independence and self-sufficiency. So going with that, this is about material gain. So it's about looking at the beginning of the week in terms of what it is that we're gaining. Now, it could be a gain, could be not necessarily financial in nature, meaning it doesn't necessarily have to be the physical form of money. It could also be just something that is of value to us, because diamonds represent something that we have attached a value to, or something that's valuable to us. So it could be the wisdom gained from the experience is in and of itself very valuable. So I'm seeing that. Now, this card can also be about training, instruction, and teaching. So again, it's about looking at life from the lens of what is this experience, or what have these experiences that have been showing up in my life, what are they teaching me about me, and with the idea of like, what's the lesson that I wouldn't have learned any other way, because sometimes we have certain experiences because that's the only way we would learn that particular lesson. So I'm seeing that. Now, I'm looking at the secondary image and going along with that. The secondary image is coffin, and so coffin can represent something being finalized, and that goes with the idea here that the 9 represents attainment, but it's also the last single digit number before we move into double digits. So it's about the end of a cycle. So going with that, coffin can represent endings, it could represent completion. So at the beginning of the week, we may need to be taking a look at what are the things I need to finalize, what are the things I need to complete, what is it that I need to have a sense of closure around, that kind of energy. So I'm seeing that. The other thing about Coffin. Coffin can represent rest and it can represent sleep. So going with that, the Nine of Diamonds is also a card of downtime and leisure time. So it could be too, like we're being asked to take a pause, we're being asked to take a step back and find some ways, because I'm seeing these words, to get some rest and relaxation in, you know? So I'm seeing that. So two things going on here. So it could be, number one, we're looking at possible gains this week. We're looking at ways that we can become more independent and self-sufficient. We're looking at our experiences as lessons that have been learned, and we're taking a step back and asking ourselves, what did I learn as a result of having this experience or these experiences? And then the other thing could be, what do I need to end? What do I need to complete? What do I need to get closure or seek closure around? Or what do I need to do in terms of getting some more rest and relaxation in my life? How can I create a sense of downtime? And that's for those of us who like to do. You know, we're always on the go. So, you know, maybe we're needing to do a rethink on that. You know, ask ourselves, what's the gain that I get from being busy all the time and not taking any time out to stop, pause, and rest? And they're telling me, and reflect. Going with the idea that the 9 is about wisdom gained through experience. That's about reflection. You know, so that's key this week. Moving to the middle card, we have just what I just said. So here we have the 10 of clubs. So the 10 of clubs is about taking on too much. I love how it is following this card. So this is the primary focus. When I'm reading 3 cards, the first card can tell us a little bit about the nature of the situation, but the middle card is what we're being asked to focus on. It's the primary focus. It's about what we're being guided to do or being advised to consider. This card is about taking on too much. So it could be about new job duties, new responsibilities. It could be a sense of being overloaded, you know, having too much on our plate, you know. And so here we have to, where the wisdom comes in, we have to ask ourselves the hard question, what do I get out of being this busy? You know, this card is about, like, if we're finding ourselves with a lot on our plate, then we're being asked to, what can we consider taking off? Going with the coffin being about elimination, it's about closing something, it's about ending something. What am I willing to take off my plate once and for all? And what the idea here is about, maybe I'm taking on too much and not allowing other people around me to kind of share the load. Because sometimes this card can be about somebody who takes on too much, you know, and they do so from the standpoint that they don't allow other people to be responsible for themselves. And so now that could be a working related situation or a personal situation. So we tend to take on so much, and we tend to take on the burdens of other people because we sometimes may think that they're not capable of handling their own affairs, but we also disempower them to continue to play that role. You know, so if you've been taking on the needs of other people, taking on other people's burdens and responsibilities, this might be the time for you to do a rethink about that. The number 10 is, like I said with the 9 is the last single digit, right? So the 10 is the first double digit. And so this card is about, like, a transition. You know, it's about coming to an end so a new way of being or doing can start, because the 10 reduces to 1, right? So it's about making a level change. So it's about taking time to make a change. You know, you've gotten to the end of the road, you've come as far as you can, and it may be now time to consider doing something different. So that is with the 10 of clubs. It's about taking on new job duties and new responsibilities if you're in the working sphere, but it could also be, whether it's work related or personal, about taking on too much, about being overcommitted. And it's about you're getting to the point where you're overworked, you're overburdened, you may be experiencing fatigue, exhaustion, and that goes back to the coffin about the need for rest and relaxation. You know, you're overworked, you're fatigued, you're exhausted, and you may be on the fast road to burnout if you're not careful. And that brings in the secondary image, which is the bear. So now the bear is also a card that can represent burden and being the heavy. So maybe it could be like you could change things, but maybe you've taken on this role and you've played it for so long, you realize it may be time to make a change, but you don't want to do that because you don't want to be the heavy. You don't want to be the bad guy, right? Or it could be like you're just the person that like everybody just dumps on you. And so that's another way of maybe needing to create change, and you're saying that's not cool. I'm no longer okay with that. The bear could also represent standing in your own sense of personal power. So this is a time when maybe you need to stand up for yourself, you know, and this is about being strong as you do it. The other thing here, this is about a person who's considered an authority figure. So it could be a leader, a manager, a supervisor, an authority figure. It could be that, so it could be like maybe you're having issues with the boss, or you're having issues being the boss. And so that could be in the working world. You know, it's about like how can you navigate that. If you're the boss and you're the one who's doing all the work, then you're being asked to learn the art of delegation, right? So there's that. If you're not in the working sphere, then this card is saying too about you kind of taking your own personal power back. It's about you taking control of your life back. It's about you becoming your own boss. You know the expression of like, I'm hearing in my head like, you're not the boss of me? It's about you being the boss of you, not allowing somebody else to be the boss of you. So, yeah, and now I'm dating myself. I always do this when I do these readings. I date myself because I always come out with these songs that people may not be fully aware of. But right now, in this moment, I'm hearing Janet Jackson's Control. And so basically the gist of the song, if you haven't heard it, the gist of the song is about like breaking out, breaking free, and breaking free of other people's control, and you taking control of your own life. So that is the energy of the 10 of clubs with the bear. And yes, and so now, before I move on, I'm looking at the combination of coffin and bear, and it's creating the meaning of limitation or restriction of power. So I'm seeing that as reinforcing the message here. So it's about taking that and letting that come to an end. So again, it's about making that kind of change. So the last card is, okay, so we have the Ace of Hearts. So now here we have, if you are to do that, then the Ace of Hearts, first off, is a card that can represent home and family. So for somebody watching this video, it could be an experience, an emotional experience that you're having with somebody else you may be living with. So the bear could be a person who is an authority figure in the house. So this could be, in some schools, the bear can represent a mother or grandmother, and in other schools of thought, the bear can represent a man. So it just depends. But this person would be a person who is an authority figure. So it would be that. So it could be challenges with parents or grandparents this week and having to navigate that and you know, saying, okay, it's time for me to kind of, you know, become independent, going back to the Nine of Diamonds, about independent and self-sufficient and trying to break free from the controlling tendencies of the people that I share space with. So that may be an aspect of that. But the Ace of Hearts is about a new emotional experience. Aces are about potentials for the future, a new experience that sets the stage for future growth. So there's that. The Ace of Hearts from an emotional outlook, because here's the interesting thing with the spades as the middle card, it could be like in the middle of the week or in this experience where we're frustrated and we may be impatient, especially if we're exerting control on other people with the idea that they're going to change. And so we may be experiencing some frustration or some impatience with that. And if we let go of that, then, or we work through that, because again, about spades being the work we do, if we work through that, then Hearts is about becoming happy and more optimistic in our outlook. So there's that. Asking what else do we need to say about the Ace of Hearts. Yeah, so the Ace of Hearts could be just asking yourself what it is that you need to do for you, because the Ace is the number one, and number one represents the individual. So we have this idea about independence again, individuality, you know, allowing you to be true to who you are. So I'm seeing that as a possibility with the Ace of Hearts. Now I'm looking at the secondary image, and so here we have the gentleman. So if you're a woman and you're watching this video, it could be suggesting to you like there is a man who's important to you or significant to you who's connected to the situation. If you're a man and you're watching this, then it could be about you. you know, and your outlook on the situation. Because as I laid the card down, now the gentleman is facing the other two cards, right? So now here we are. It's about a man, possibly, with the bear next to him. So he's either strong or powerful, or that he's seeking to reclaim his own sense of power and control, right? He could be a manager, he could be a supervisor, he could be a leader, he could be a person of influence. So I'm seeing that. It could also be to a man who's coming into that, like, so it could be like assuming a leadership position, assuming a managerial role. Could be he's taking on new job duties and responsibilities, and if that's the case, then my message is about making sure that you're not taking on too much, that other people are sharing the load, that you're delegating is important, okay? And then going one step over, it could be like a man is facing a powerful ending, going with the coffin, because he's looking one card out. So the bear is the immediate card, and then going out one step further, it could be looking forward to an end, seeking closure, seeking something becoming final. So if you're a woman watching this video, it could be like you and a significant relationship you're experiencing with a man. Or if you're a man, it could be something that you're working on moving towards. And so the last thing we can do is we can look at the numerical value of the card. So we have a 9, we have a 10, we have a 1. So 9 and 10 is 19, and 1 is 20. So the 20 reduces to 2. So 2 is a number this week of balance. So as the theme, it's about balance. It's about help, it's about support, it's about relationships and partnerships with the idea that it's all about creating a sense of balance. It could also be 2 with the 2. The 2 sometimes is a number that can represent, in terms of relationships, it could be relationships that are cooperative, and then also to relationships that are challenging. If you go with the idea of people butting heads, people who are, you know, opposing things, because, you know, you stop and think about opposites, you think about opposition, that kind of energy. So they could be complementary or they could be challenging, but whatever the case may be, it's about taking a look at those and how can we create a better sense of balance. So on that note, I will wrap up and end this week's Oracle Outlook. I'm James Himm Mitchell, and I want to thank you for sharing the space here with me this week, and I look forward to sharing the same space with you again in our next video reading together. So until then, I'm wishing you a wonderful day, and I'm hoping that you have a wonderful week. Take care.